Do whatever it takes to accomplish the mission.
What's up, guys? Hullie the Kid here, and welcome to a new series. Yes, I came up with a new series. It's called Inside Hullie's World. The main focus of this series is to basically give you an inside look on the inner workings of my mind, I guess you could say. More like a brain dump. So, for those people that know me, they say I don't really hold my tongue too much, or I speak my opinion, or I always say, what I feel is wrong with A, B, and C. I try to give some kind of, conscious effort to make something better, whatever it may be, whether it be something, as far as school systems go, whether it's as far as, entertainment, the way that, the media is portraying this kind of person, or, just little things like that, more serious topics to me. May not be just the most serious thing, but, just more so topics of interest to me. And I know people are wondering, well, why are you doing this kind of series? Excuse me. Why are you doing this kind of series and playing Call of Duty? Well, I find myself, playing games gives me the opportunity to just kind of reflect on a lot of things, or it's my place of peace, almost, I guess you could say. The topic of this first episode, is based off of the CNN, what is it called? The CNN series by Soledad O'Brien, titled Blacks in America. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, why are you taking on this topic? This is, some people find this topic very offensive or very sensitive or whatever it may be, which is true. And I'm not trying to, advocate for one race over another. I'm not doing that. It's definitely not what I'm doing by any means necessary, by, anything like that. But what I find interesting, or what I want to talk about, is the recent episode, or the recent episode of Blacks in America. It featured this young lady, I can't remember her name, but basically she was a young lady of Egyptian descent. Both of her parents were Egyptian, but she lived in somewhere in America, North America, United States. Fair-skinned young lady, what most people would call light-skinned, I suppose. And she said that she had been taunted by her friends or by her classmates, saying that she wasn't black enough, or something to that extent, to where she was technically, by their standards, she was a black girl, yet she acted white, for whatever that means. I think that, personally, being a man of African American descent, it kind of upsets me to hear that people are still placing so much emphasis on somebody's ethnicity or somebody's racial makeup. Now, I'm not saying that, people should forget their, whatever their racial background is. I'm not saying that by any means. I'm saying be proud of, what you are and who you are. However, for people to sit here and try to make an assumption, I guess, based off of what one person's ethnicity is, I think that's just crazy. For her to sit there and say that she doesn't feel black enough by standards of, the people around her, that's just ridiculous. I find it interesting that so many people are saying that, well, you're not black, you're Egyptian, Egyptian is Middle Eastern, which, I don't know if it's just me, and, things have changed since, when I grew up, in elementary school, when I was taught middle school, when I was taught geography. I don't know if things just changed from there, but last time I checked, Egypt was in Africa. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I could probably pull up a map right now, and I'm sure that Egypt would be connected to Africa. Although it sits close to the Middle East, yes, it does. That does not make it Middle Eastern. That's basically like saying Michigan or Maine is Canadian.
Kill confirmed.
You know, that is what that sounds like to me. Now, I'm not here to get into, well, you know, some people say it is Middle Eastern because of the makeup that is there. You know, I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't Middle Eastern people that live there. I mean, there are Middle Eastern people that live here in the United States. However, that does not make the United States Middle Eastern. You know, it's certain things that, you know, I feel like, you know, whoever it may be, whether it be media people or whether it be, you know, even if it's the people that live there, you know, it's certain things that you just can't deny. It's just impossible that you can't sit there and say, oh, Egypt is a Middle Eastern company, excuse me. Egypt is a Middle Eastern country because of the racial makeup of the people. No. If it's connected, if it's been continentally connected to, you know, Africa for this long, you know, I don't think it's just up and changes like that. So, you know, that's just my understanding. You know, I've never seen a country do that. That's like saying Texas is Mexican. Yes, there are people of Mexican descent that live in Texas. That does not make Texas Mexican. But yeah, back on topic. This young girl, she was saying that she doesn't feel black enough because she grew up in I guess you could say a predominantly Caucasian area, or grew up around predominantly Caucasian people. Which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter what you grow up around. That doesn't decide what your racial makeup is. You know, I know a lot of people who have, you know, multiracial backgrounds, but depending on the area that they grew up in, or mainly, not so much the area, but depending on the upbringing that they have based on the parents that they have, that, you know, necessarily determines what we as a society considers, you know, oh, this person is black, oh, this person is white, they act black, they act white, they act Indian, they act Mexican, they act Hispanic, you know, whatever. I think that is what draws people to make those kinds of decisions, because I think it just makes it easier for them to categorize people for whatever reason. You know, if you feel like you are, you know, whatever of whatever race, you know, whatever makes it easy for you, I guess. What I'm really just trying to get at is that for this young girl to say, I don't feel black enough because of my people, or because of I don't act black, you know, that's one thing. And as an African American man, you know, this doesn't sit too well with me when somebody says, oh, you don't act black, you know, or you don't act white, or you don't act like a color. Like, I didn't know you could act like a color. You know, I just thought colors was something that you look at. You know, that's just my personal opinion, and I know I'm overly simplifying it. However, that is how stupid people are. Not, and I don't mean stupid to offend anybody, but that's how stupid it sounds when somebody says, "Oh, you don't act black. Oh, you act like a black. You act like a white girl, or you act like a white boy." And it's like, how can I act like something? You know, I guess it makes them feel better. You know, oh, you're fulfilling the stereotype of what I automatically assume a black man or a black woman to be, or a black boy or black girl to be. You know, I think that's what they really mean, and it makes it so much easier for them to kind of, you know, categorize and say, okay, this person, you know, they fit this group, they fit that group, you know, whatever. I mean, it's all about personal opinion. However, some stuff, it just doesn't make any sense to me, you know, and that's just, like I said, it's just my personal opinion. You know, some people really just go all out with this kind of stuff, and they take it to the extreme. You know, when that girl was saying she didn't feel black, even though she was of African descent, and she lived in America, you know, technically that makes an African American if you grew up in America. She didn't grow up, no, she didn't grow up in Egypt. Not to my knowledge. I could be wrong. I have to go back and check the story because I didn't get to catch it live. But she didn't grow up in Egypt. She is of African descent in America. That makes African Americans. Because I am of African descent and I live in America. Mostly lived in the South, but I lived in America nonetheless. So it just kind of pains me to see people still making these kinds of judgments and just making these kinds of assumptions. So, you know, that's just my personal opinion. That's you know, wasn't trying to offend anybody. If I did, you know, please leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about it. Are people really putting too much emphasis on race and trying to make, you know, categorize people or whatever it may be? So, hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you all got a little bit of insight. Got a lot more coming, y'all. Stay tuned.